Welcome to Nerd Sports.
Arg.
Today we're going to go over the mishaps of the Olympics. And so far I've gotten, let me fix my mic a little bit more. We have a lot of stuff that basically...
And before you start, I just want to bring it to the attention of our listeners. I'm impressed. I'm excited to see where this one goes because we always start the show. You always say we're going to go over the intricacy or the intricate world of, and then you like pull some random shit out of your ass.
Yeah,
and you are coming to the table with like legitimate news stories.
What's really
from the sports world? And I'm sitting there going, this is probably the least athletic, non-sports centered individual I have ever met in my entire life. No, that's not true. But top 10 easy.
Yeah.
But still, you came to the table ready to play, dude. Good on you, bully. Look at you, guy.
I know, right?
All right, so
let's
go.
Okay, the first one is Hong Kong police arrested man for booing Chinese national anthem while watching Olympics. Now, you can't do that in the United States, so we're kind of oblivious of this. And the whole reason why this procked up really hardcore on me is because we have something and we treasure the most, me and you at least, is the Bill of Rights, to where the first one up there is the right to assembly, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and the creme de la creme, the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Now, in certain countries, this doesn't surprise me. Hong Kong doesn't surprise me because, it is China, and China is a communist nation, so they can basically pull you, they can bag you at any good time that they want, and they can pull you aside, arrest you, and...
They can deem anybody in the country at any time that they want a complete and total shit pump, and
one of people
carry you away.
People are like, oh, that's just that. No, Dubai, you can do the same thing if you have if you say anything about the prince or in Saudi or something like that in the Middle East, you say something against their monarch, they will arrest you.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. He was 40-year-old man was accused of assaulting the national anthem when watching a live stream of an award ceremony on Monday. Now, we're actually saying this, we're recording this on Wednesday, but it just goes on the show that their reach is very far.
Yeah, I mean, if the dude boos the Chinese national anthem, the party is not going to like that very much. It's not the party line. Obviously, they want everybody, locked in step. I find that very interesting, and I doubt very seriously that this individual is going to be seen for at least a while. He's going to end up mining lithium somewhere. I don't know.
No, his organs are going to be sold out to the highest bidder or lowest bidder, depending on how bad he destroyed his liver and everything. So, our next topic is 4 Tokyo Olympic staff arrested for suspicion of cocaine use. 4 men, 2 Americans, 2 British nationals work for a company that provides electrical power for services for the game. It was kind of a roundabout thing. That's the only reason why it topped over, because it was people that were working for the
So the Japanese
Olympics.
were cracking down on drug use.
Actually, Japan actually cracks down a lot on drug use. Robert Downey Jr. almost didn't get to go to the premiere of one of his movies. I think it was the Avengers movie. I'm not really sure.
No, because he was clean.
Iron Man.
He was clean.
No. It's because he was arrested for drug use.
Oh, in the past, back in the
past,
80s.
yes,
Gotcha.
They divvy up on past records. There's a lot of people that can't get into Japan because of their past records.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know if Tim Allen actually tried to go to Japan, but they have very harsh laws that even if you they don't, I don't think they believe in second chances all too much, but not dogging Japan. Japan is actually a wonderful place. But if you have a bad record and everything like that, then boom, you don't get a good you don't get to go into Japan. And another one, now this is going to be a hard one for me. Uzbek. It's Uzbek man. Arrested over allegedly raping at the Olympic Stadium. I mean, that's the title of the thing. 30-year-old Uzbek man was arrested.
Uzbek.
Uzbek. Okay.
Okay. An individual, a man from the country of Uzbek, arrested over alleged rape at the Tokyo Olympic Stadium. Let me pull that article up too, so that way I can go through it with you.
But was arrested on Sunday with suspicion of raping a woman in the Tokyo Olympic Stadium last week, just days before the games began, according to police and media report. The man, a university student at oh God, Lord in heaven, I will never be able to say this name. But he allegedly raped the victim in her 20s.
Davonbek Rakhmatulayev. Yeah, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. We're just going to call him Dr. D because that's what he tried to do.
No, Dr. D is actually a cool name.
Yeah.
You got to give him some of the raper. We're not going with the ripper.
It sounds like a sword. The rapier.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but those old Saturday Night Live Celebrity Jeopardy skits with Alex Trebek and Sean Connery, the rapiest. No.
Yes.
The penis mightier. No, that is the pen is mightier. My
God,
I'm sorry.
He apparently did this on Friday night. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department said without
specifying the location. Local media said that the suspect got to know the Japanese woman on the day and attacked her near spectator seats at the stadium after they watched a rehearsal of the opening ceremony. Kyoto News said that they were both part-time workers related to the games and had been working at the stadium before they watched the rehearsal. The man has denied the allegation, saying the woman did not refuse his advances. The opening ceremony, and then it went on to talk about how they'd be held formally to kick off the virus-delayed games. Let's see. Organizers have been forced to bar spectators from all events in the city, including the ceremony in the 68,000 capacity main stadium, which will host the athletics and some soccer matches. I get rape allegations, which is what the crux of this story is, aside. And no, for those of you who are listening, no, I am not downplaying the rape and whatever with the victim. Shut up and listen. The fact that the Olympic Games are an economic drain on whatever country gets to host them anyway. Okay, they make a lot of that money back by ticket sales.
Well, not even that. It's
ticket sales, concessions, souvenirs.
But it's still a drain. Most countries that host it, they are in the hole for like millions of dollars. For years.
And when they held those the Centennial Games in Athens, Greece is still a shithole because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and the EU is levying sanctions against Greece. You know, and it's like Greece is in so much financial trouble. You know, and it's just. It's chaos.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact that, you know, they're having to bar spectators from all the events in the city, including the opening ceremony at the stadium. I mean, that's 68,000 seats. And you know that Olympic tickets aren't cheap.
Mm-mm. No, they are not.
And you know that the government from Japan is sitting there looking at this like,
really, guys?
We've completely and absolutely lost our ass on this. And
usually the stadium that they have, they usually use it for something else. But most of the time, I mean, there is the Rio one.
Yeah.
They spent probably about $5 to $6 million just to reformat the old the original Olympic one. They had like can't even tell you. It's probably back in the 50s or 40s.
Yeah, and you sent me another link for...
that was the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't say her name.
Poland grants humanitarian visa to a Belarusian Olympic sprinter who refused to board her flight home.
Well, there's a thing for this.
Yeah,
okay?
Christina...
I can't say
hold on. Let me see here. Christina Timanovskia. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
We'll just call her Christina.
Well, she refused to get a flight home. What the whole thing about this was, she was supposed to run the 440.
Mm-hmm.
She's not trained for the 440. 440 is not the 440, the 400.
Yeah.
That's an endurance, and she was a sprinter.
Yeah.
And basically, she hadn't trained for it. She didn't feel that she was up for it. Okay, she does the 200 meters and the 4x400 meter relay without her consent.
Yeah. They were like, they deprived me of my right to participate in the 200 meter race and wanted to send me home. She did not detail exactly what she feared or what she feared she would be jailed over, but her fear of reprisal comes after she spoke out against national sporting authorities. And so Belarus, which is one of these Baltic countries, that still, they still do things in a very, Eastern Bloc kind of way.
Well, what they actually said is someone told her, and this is what she revealed to reporters after she was given, that's when they gave her asylum, was you better get a lawyer. Okay, here it is. Here he is. Embassy in Tokyo said in a statement on Monday that the Barcelona diplomats arrived at the airport on Sunday to clarify the circumstances and provide possible counseling and legal assistance if necessary, but were unable to obtain any information about her from the Japanese representatives. And the statement added that the athlete has not been in contact with the embassy. Yeah,
but Poland said that she was welcome to come there and pursue her athletic career. She just, I think Belarus is going to end up looking like the bad guys in this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, nonprofit organization Global Athlete called on the IOC to immediately suspend the Belarus National Olympic Committee and allow all Belarusian athletes to compete as neutral athletes under the Olympic flag. She was scheduled to leave on a 10:50 p.m. flight to Istanbul on Sunday, but upon arriving at the airport, she approached a Japanese police officer and asked if she could apply for political asylum. I'm afraid that I might be jailed in Belarus. She said, I'm not afraid of being fired or kicked out of the national team. I'm concerned about my safety. And I think that at the moment it is not safe for me in Belarus. I didn't do anything, but they deprived me of the right to participate in the 200-meter race and want to send me home. So, yeah, she's been in touch with the Polish embassy. And Poland is like, yeah, come on over to Warsaw and we'll hook you up.
Yeah. And this is just me gathering information on that one event, because I just got a little tidbit of information on one side on the other. But sorry, folks, ended up having the hiccups for a second there. But what happened is what was happening with the Belarus is a lot of their athletes were either getting hurt or it's something to the extent of they were falling out with the running race, and they were losing contestants or players, basically. But it was basically a big shit show. And I love train wrecks.
Yeah.
I'll watch a train wreck.
Yeah, I mean, because there's been a history, especially when the Soviet Union was still a thing, where you would get a lot of Soviet and a lot of Eastern Bloc country athletes that would defect during the Olympics or during major sporting events. It's become a lot less and less of a thing. It's become more rare since the Soviet Union fell. But it cites this article cites last month, a 20-year-old Ugandan weightlifter went missing after leaving a note saying his life in Uganda was too difficult and he wanted to work in Japan. He was found and transferred to police custody. Multiple African Olympians reportedly went missing during the 2012 games. With Eurita's flag-carrying runner, Wene, I'm not even going to try. Their flag runner, or flag carrier, was among those applying for asylum in the UK. Unlike these athletes, however, Christina did not appear set out with the intention of defecting for political reasons. Instead, appears to have been forced into the act after speaking out against an official decision to include her in a race she has not run before. Apparently there's some kind of regime in Belarus that they're very, very heavy-handed. Well, we're talking hammer and sickle type people. There was thousands of people were. She said, but Belarusian athletes have faced retaliation, been detained, and excluded from national teams for criticizing the government following mass protests last year against long-standing strongman Alexander Lukashenko. See, I did that one. That was pretty good. Thousands of people were arrested in the protests, which were brutally suppressed by authorities amid widespread reports of abuse and torture. The Belarusian leaders ruled the country for 27 years and was in charge of the country's National Olympic Committee for decades before his eldest son, Viktor, took over in February. See, these are very stereotypical Soviet names, right? My son, Viktor, he's going to run committee. Anyway, so the IOC refused to recognize Lukashenko's son, saying in a statement that that Belarus NOC had not appropriately protected the Belarusian athletes from political discrimination. In December, the IOC banned both Lukashenko and his son from attending the Tokyo Games. Belarus is going to be in some serious hot water. And if it would not surprise me, sorry guys, I didn't turn my ringer off before I came in. It would not surprise me I'm texting my son back. He was the one that called.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, we'll go over Simone Biles. A lot of stuff on her, and I have to say this. Everybody's like, "Oh, she's such a prima donna and everything like that, starting out and everything like that." And she said she had the twisties, and what everybody should know is the twisties are something to do. It's an actual thing. It's the simple form of that. It's basically having to do with your
spatial awareness. It's specifically a gymnastics term, where they kind of it's almost, you could almost equate it to, the layman's term would be vertigo, because those gymnasts, those athletes, they're twisting around in the air, and
that is really a dangerous sport.
It
because
is.
If you mess it up, I did do gymnastics when I was younger, and I fucked up my neck really bad just by landing on it in a certain way, and I was on a trampoline.
Right, and I mean, hats off to these gymnasts. I mean, dude, you could pull a muscle if you assume a position wrong in the bedroom, let alone, these uneven bar or these parallel bars, these uneven bars, the horses, the what is it called, or even the floor exercises that the female gymnasts do. But dude, that is some. I mean, if you bump into a gymnast, like physically bump into them on the street, dude, you're gonna be the one that moves, not them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they are solid muscle. Yeah. Absolutely solid muscle.
I kind of miss that. I lost all that muscle from doing all my getting all that muscle when I was younger, and now I'm like, because I was like 190 pounds.
Right.
Pure muscle.
Kind of rocking a dad bod now. I'm rocking a dad bod. I say rocking a dad bod. I'm not rocking the dad bod. I want to get rid of my dad bod, but.
You're not really rocking it. I mean, you are rocking it, okay? Because technically, I'm not rocking a dad bod. You're rocking dad bod because you actually have somebody you can go home to. In a matter of speaking,
yeah.
You have a girlfriend. She enjoys you. Me, on the other hand, I'm looking at myself in a mirror is not considered rocking the dad bod. It's more or less.
Look. Before you start going to this self-deprecation mode, I was trying to give you some props. So how about you just maybe shut that hole under your nose connected to that lump 3 feet above your ass just long enough to accept a compliment.
But, okay, thank you for the compliment. We'll go with that. But what's really sad is she actually still competed.
Yeah.
The person that took her place literally took the gold. I forget, man. This is so sad. I wish I didn't do that.
Okay, now as far as Simone Biles is concerned, dude, I'm behind her 110%.
I know her last name is Lee.
You know, I mean, she.
Samantha Lee.
You know, because I mean, mental health. I mean, especially for us, that's a big thing. You know, and we're not saying that she was suicidal or anything like that, but I mean, if she was not in the mindset. Yeah, absolutely. You do you. You got to take care of yourself first, because if you're out there, and your spatial awareness is off, and you're not at 100%, you can get hurt or killed. I mean, if you land wrong, you break your neck, and then what? I mean, you still end up hurting the team. Whereas now she bowed out of the events that she was slated to compete in, and you know, I don't like the backlash. Everybody's talking about, oh, she quit on her team, she quit on her country. No, she didn't quit on anybody. She didn't quit on the country. She was protecting herself. And she was looking out for her teammates.
Like the wrestling chick back in the 80s that ended up like breaking her leg.
Yeah.
She had a small fracture because she felt, it was like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But
well, you know, Mother Russia demands that you go and you compete. So she goes out and competes. She breaks her leg. What's it do? It hurts the overall score. Because they take all the scores. And on top of all of that, the Olympic Committee told her that she was going to compete against everybody, the entire field, and her points were going to be handicapped because she was just so much better than everybody else.
Man, why is every name that we've actually gotten today is a name that I mean, my dyslexia is kicking in high gear, especially today.
But
Sunny Shay Lee was the replacement.
Right.
I want to give her props because she still won us gold.
Yeah, she brought home the gold. Yeah, absolutely. You know, go her, go Team USA. But the fact is that, I mean, with Simone, she your points aren't going to be worth as much as everybody else's because you're just that much better. We want to make it fair. You know what? Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck them. She did what she needed to do. She's either A, making a statement, or B, she's actually standing up for her mental health, or C, all of the above. I'm willing to take C. Because, to me, that's bullshit. I'm not going to sit there and bust my ass, risk hurting myself because I'm not there completely, you know, like, you just, something's off with the equilibrium or something. Only to have somebody who didn't score as well, medal higher.
Yeah.
Why? Why put yourself through that?
And these gymnasts, they go through a rigor.
Yeah, I mean it's a very rigorous regime. I mean they're up there at practice at 4:30 in the morning. They're practicing all day, on top of living their normal lives.
I had a friend of mine. He was talking about him. One of his workers. She was a. God, I can't even think of the corpsman.
Mm-hmm.
She was a corpsman. She worked out all the time and everything. She was a gymnast, but she has different workout routines compared to, like a weightlifter type deal.
Yeah.
Gymnast is more or less kind of it's a cross between CrossFit
mm-hmm.
and using all you're basically doing is you're using your body weight as your weight.
Yeah, it's
and you're gonna keep on building, and you keep on building mass because you're doing all the stuff. A lot of it, most of it, there's a little bit of weightlifting for it, but all in all, it's just basically you're using your own body weight, and if say like if I was in my prime and you were in your prime,
mm-hmm.
I did your workout routine.
Oh, the days, yeah.
But if I went to go do your workout routine and everything like that, but I did it on my scale, I'd still be able to outdo you because my muscles are used to that kind of weightlifting.
Yeah.
Or it's more of an endurance.
You train for a specific thing, a specific activity. It's like when they say with baseball, you can take a baseball player, put him in any other sport, and he'll be able to compete. But if you take anybody else and you put them in the sport of baseball and tell them to hit a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball, 9 times out of 10, they can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's because baseball players train their entire lives, practice their entire lives to hit that fastball. And it's a very unique skill set. And with these gymnasts, the balance beam and everything like that, which is the event that Simone she did compete in. She won bronze in that event, I think she got the bronze medal because she was still being scored with that handicap. Like they severely neutered her points.
Yeah, because
in the gaming world they called it nerfing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so they nerfed the crap out of her points. I mean, it's embarrassing what they did with her points. So, and
I think in my head that the reason why it could have just been the twisties like she was saying, but if it in my opinion though, it could have been more. It could have been just that type of stress.
Yeah. Is that all you got for the Olympics?
That is all for our Olympics, even though China is beating us right now.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
but so
on to baseball.
On to baseball. Oh my God! So this past weekend, Friday at 4:00 Eastern time was the trade deadline for baseball.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about it. We
last
didn't get to talk
36 hours of the trade leading up to the trade deadline was entertaining, but it was also incredibly hard to keep up with.
Why is that?
So many moves, players moving all over the place. People that you almost never hear of, big names. Big names were going. For example, Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, who played for the Washington Nationals. Both of them were on the World Series squad for 2019, the 2019 World Series team, right? Was it 2019 or 2019? 2019, yeah, the 2019 team. Okay. They go to the Dodgers. And it's like, okay, now the Dodgers, they're all in trying to win a championship. And they are absolutely trying to build an all-star squad of studs. That's what they did. They went out, made the moves. I'm pretty sure that they gave up a lot of prospects, and that's going to end up coming back to biting them in the ass. But the Dodgers are trying to do what the Yankees of the 90s did, and they're trying to buy everything. But Max Scherzer, it's funny with him because he was, the Yankees wanted him bad, but he flat out told them. He even went on Twitter. He's like, I'm not interested. I want to play for a contender, right? He's got no interest in wearing Yankee pinstripes. Kind of want to give the guy props for that, but at the same time, you go into the Dodgers, that's almost as bad now. Yeah, for those of you Dodger fans out there, you're going to hear me say that, and you're going to be like, oh, fuck that guy. Go ahead and come at me and do whatever you're going to do. I don't care. The Nationals, in turn, they got catcher Keibert Ruiz, a right-handed pitcher in the name of Josiah Gray, right-handed pitcher Guillermo Carrillo, and an outfielder by the name of Donovan Casey. I've heard of Donovan Casey, Josiah Gray. I've heard of him, and these are mid-level players. Washington, they're trading away all of their big pieces. The only person that they've got left on their team right now from the World Series run is Juan Soto.
Okay.
That dude showed up to work and he's like, "Where's everybody at?" But the Dodgers, the Dodgers beat out the Padres, who were in the same division in that whole Scherzer sweepstakes thing. They pulled off the blockbuster trade at the deadline. The Dodgers, at least right now, they're still, I think, at least 2.5 games ahead of the Padres for the last wild card spot. But they're still trailing the Giants for the division lead. But Scherzer, he's a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. And the dude he's got skills on the mound. I mean, he's a terrible hitter, but most pitchers are. The Giants was making some moves. Now the Cubs, let me preface this. The Cubs are in complete teardown mode right now. I mean, they are. I mean, I told you last time we did an episode, our last episode for the sports show, that the Cubs were complete sellers. They were sellers. I mean, they were absolutely holding a fire sale on the north side of Chicago, right?
Yeah. Did they get rid of the entire team?
Well, damn near almost the whole team. At least as far as their big three. Chris Bryant, who played outfield and third base for the Cubs, he went to the Giants. The Giants gave up Alexander Carino, who's an outfielder, and a right-handed pitcher named Caleb Killian. Chris Bryant's a former MVP. And I mean, the Giants got off. I mean, they got him cheap. They got him for a pair of prospects. Because at this point, yeah, the Cubs are tearing down everything. I mean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they traded the ivy growing on the outfield wall for a couple of potted plants and a bag of hot dogs. I mean, what are they doing over there in Chicago? They left the fan base just kind of going, what the hell? You know, I mean, it's embarrassing. The Blue Jays, they got right-handed pitcher Joakim Soria. This dude, his numbers this year aren't that great. I mean, at the time of the trade, he had a 1-4 record with a 4.30 ERA, or earned run average, and that's only with 29.1 innings pitched at the time he was traded. But the Diamondbacks, I mean, they're getting a player to be named later. So, I mean, basically, at some point into the distant future, maybe during the offseason, the Diamondbacks are going to go to the Blue Jays and say, we want so-and-so, or we want so-and-so. And the Blue Jays have to give them. They have to give that up. Do I think that was a great trade? Not necessarily. It helped the Blue Jays as far as their pitching was concerned, because their pitching did need help. But I mean, we'll go over here in a few minutes after I try to run down the trades as far as the transaction list is concerned, who I thought won and who I thought lost on the trades.
Was that basically like a trade in the NFL debate for like the draft? Because I know a lot of people, they'll give up their
you'll see a lot of teams in the NFL. They'll trade draft picks for this player or that player.
Yeah,
and it's basically the same thing. The Braves got right-handed pitcher Richard Rodriguez, and the Pirates got from Atlanta right-handed pitcher Bryce Wilson and right-handed pitcher Ricky DeVito. Rodriguez, he was a closer. Played 37 games this season for Atlanta, pitched a 2.82 ERA with 14 saves while striking out 33 batters at the time that he was traded. The day, I think it was Wednesday of last week, my buddy Zach Medford called me, and we kind of shot the shit with on baseball for a little bit, and kind of had our talk, had our takes and everything. Because, and I'll get into that trade here in just a few minutes, because I had pegged, always pegged is the wrong word to use. I had picked Anthony Rizzo to go to the Red Sox. That didn't happen. I'll go over how that worked out here in a minute. But the Padres got center fielder Jake Marisnick from the Cubs. And the Cubs got right-handed pitcher Anderson Espinoza. I don't know what the hell Chicago was thinking. But the Padres got Jake Marisnick, and he was good. I mean, he's 30 years old. He'll likely serve a bench role for the World Series. They say World Series contending Padres right now.
Yeah, because they haven't.
They've never won one. They've made it to a World Series. Tony Gwynn played with the Padres back in the 90s against the Yankees. I think they got swept, but still, they got there. He's bringing 5 home runs on the year, 22 RBIs so far. So he's having I think his numbers are down a little bit, but he'll be a good guy to call on from the bench to say, hey, look, we need you to pinch hit in this kind of a situation. He may not be the slugger that they're needing, but I think he'll be a good as far as like a situational hitting kind of a thing. Especially if a pitcher is halfway through his three hitter minimum requirement before he gets pulled. He'll be a good guy to insert into the lineup mid game when you're talking about matchups. Right-handed versus left-handed, that kind of a thing. The Mets were big players. The Mets, they made a lot of moves too. The Mets are going to be dangerous if they can ever figure it out. They got shortstop Javier Baez from the Cubs, along with right-handed pitcher Trevor Williams. The Cubs got outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong. Again, anything that the Cubs are getting, no-name guys. Mid-level, at best, probably averaging maybe about the lower 35% as far as active players on major league rosters. But Baez, he's only 28. So far, he's hit 22 home runs. At the time of the trade, he hit 22 home runs. He had 65 RBIs for Chicago this year. He was on the World Series squad for 2016. He can play second or third. Let's see, because Francisco Lindor, who plays for the Mets, he's expected to return from injury because he's been on the injured list. So when Francisco Lindor comes back to the lineup, expect Baez to move either to the second or third. He's really versatile on that side of the infield. So I see him probably playing. I think they can probably split the time because, I mean, the fact that he's got so much versatility tells me that he's going to platoon a lot of time. He's going to start, but he's going to platoon his time between second and third because Francisco Lindor, he's one of these like $300+ million players. He's going to play where he signed to play. So And this was kind of a surprise here. Jon Lester of Red Sox fame and Cubs fame, he's won a World Series with both clubs, was pitching for the Nationals. Again, the Nationals are tearing everything down too. He was traded to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals sent outfielder Lane Thomas. He's a five-time All-Star. Lester's a five-time All-Star, three-time World Series champion. He won twice with the Sox, won once with the Cubs. He's got, at the time of the trade, he had a 3-5 record in 16 starts and a 5.02 ERA with 51 strikeouts. Jon Lester, when he's healthy and pitching well, can locate his fastball. He can locate his breaking ball stuff. I like him. I mean, yeah, I'm a little biased because, of his time that he spent with the Red Sox. But all of that aside, I like Jon Lester. I think he's a quality guy. He knows what he's doing, and he actually hit a home run, his fifth career home run, or fourth or fifth career home run before he got traded. So the guy can actually hit. So, and fun fact, at the time at least, I don't know if he's still wearing it, but he wears number 34. In honor of one of his very best friends, David Ortiz, who wore the same number when they played together on the Red Sox. But moving on, the Cardinals, it seemed kind of like the Cardinals are stacking up on pitching, because the Cardinals pitching staff needs the help. They got left-handed hitter or pitcher from the Twins, J.A. Happ, and along with some cash considerations as well. The Twins got right-handed pitcher John Gant and a left-handed pitcher named Evan Sisk. Happ's one of those under-the-radar, kind of sneaky, dangerous kind of pitchers. When he's on, he's on. But when he's having a bad day, you can forget about it, kid. That dude's just going to burn the place down. If he's not locating, you can really tell he's not locating. He leaves a lot of stuff hanging out over the edge of over the center of the plate. He hangs his curveballs a lot, and a lot of those hanging curveballs end up as souvenirs in the stands. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see how he works with the pitching staff, or the pitching coaches rather, from St. Louis. Whether they've got some kind of secret elixir or some kind of sneaky secret squirrel trick that J.A. Happ can kind of bring together. It'd be nice to see him actually flourish. J.A. Happ a few years ago took a line drive, a comebacker, they call them comebackers, pitched the ball, hit it, and it line drive popped right off of his head, hit him in the head, line drive from 60 feet and 6 inches. And that ball hit him in the head probably close to 100 miles an hour.
God, that just reminds me of the guy. Oh God, what's his name? That threw a fastball and it hit a bird in mid-flight.
Oh yeah, it was Randy Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, Randy Johnson.
It was a pigeon.
No, I thought it was a dove.
No, it was a pigeon.
Was it?
Yeah.
That thing exploded.
It did. And
he throws like a.
You know what's funny about that is that's the one thing that everybody associates with Randy Johnson. The dude he's a professional photographer now. And in fact, if you look up his photography company's website, his logo is a pigeon.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hold on. Who is it?
Randy Johnson. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's thrown a perfect game. He's thrown a couple of no-hitters. Played for Seattle. Most notably, he played for the Arizona Diamondbacks when they won their World Series titles. But, all right, so keeping in tune with the Washington Nationals teardown fire sale, they sent catcher Yan Gomes and infielder...
That's a dead pigeon.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yan Gomes, who's a catcher, played for the World Series squad for the Nationals, along with Josh Harrison, and cash considerations to Oakland. Oakland sent catcher Drew Milas, right-handed pitcher Richard Gossick, and right-handed pitcher Seth Schumann. Young Gomes, at the time of the trade, had 9 home runs, 35 RBIs. He was batting .271 with a .454 slugging percentage and 218 plate appearances. So he was having a pretty decent year. And you would think that, okay, hey, I'm a strong piece for my team, maybe because we're not doing that well, I'm going to be safe. No, absolutely not. Management, front office said, we need to start over from scratch. We need to figure this whole thing out. So don't look for Washington or the Chicago Cubs to be doing a whole lot for at least the next couple of years.
Well, what's really sad is the basic fact, the reason why Chicago is really revamping their stuff is because their 2016 win.
Yeah, it's just the way that they're going about it.
Yeah,
and the one thing that you learn, and if anything else, take a playbook out of the Yankees playbook, or take a page out of the Yankees playbook from the 90s. They had those core guys. They had Jorge Posada, they had Derek Jeter, they had Andy Pettitte. They had this core group of guys, Mariano Rivera. They called them the core 5, right? And these 5 guys, they were just staples on the team. And then they traded Andy Pettitte, and then Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter played their entire careers in New York. But as these guys started getting older, they started retiring or they started trading people away. The whole love affair that people had with the Yankees just kind of dulled over, right? The Cubs had, I mean, you have Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, and Chris Bryant. Those were the core 3 guys. I mean, they called them the Big 3 in Chicago because these guys nailed down the World Series win for Chicago. In fact, the last out of the 2016 World Series was Chris Bryant coming in from third, picking up a ground ball with his bare hand and throwing it to Anthony Rizzo to get the final out. Anthony Rizzo stuck that baseball in his back pocket and didn't give it up. I mean, he was quoted as saying, "I slept with that ball that night."
I would too.
You know, so the Cubs, I don't know. I mean, I was watching Twitter and there was a lot of people going, "What the fuck?" And I mean, a lot of people were feeling sorry for the Cub fan base because, like, what are they going to do?
Well, a lot of people's reaction on stuff like that, it's always to the stat burst. I mean, look at the A's back when they won that 20. They got that 20-game streak. Everybody probably at that time that was an athletics fan was like, "What is this guy doing? Why are they putting this player in? This player?" Or I mean, even if you look at, if you actually watch the movie, and I don't know if this stuff was actually happening, but they tried to reenact it to the point to where, of this is the reason why he did it, is because they were going off on people like, oh, he's a real go-getter. I mean, he gets a lot of women and everything like that. We should put him over on this. It was really just, No,
the way that they constructed the 2003 Oakland squad, purely based on numbers.
Yeah, well,
and that's it. That's all they were doing. They looked at on-base percentages. They were looking at sabermetrics, and it was just some kind of new thing. And it was completely contrary to the old school scouting.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
They didn't use the old tactics.
Yeah.
They used newer tactics.
But this kind of thing happens every trade deadline. Some team out there makes this outlandish trade and you're just like, "What? Why did they do that?" And this year especially, there has been a couple of different teams where they're just like, "What in the hell?" And don't get me started on the Red Sox. I mean, personally think Shane Bloom, he was hiding out in a fucking Subway somewhere eating a damn nasty-ass tuna salad sandwich, waiting, and he didn't do dick. We got one big piece, and he's hurt right now, and we're waiting for him to come off the injured list so that way we can put him in a fucking game. Don't get me started on that bullshit. So, I mean, I'm exactly where the Cubs fans are. I'm like, what the hell? They're seeing their team making all these kinds of stupid-ass moves, Like, okay, you guys are rebuilding. I get that, but you need to maintain a core group of veterans so that way when you bring these prospects up, you've got some kind of like tutelage going on there. There's no mentorship at all.
Yeah, that was
nothing.
That was a lot of things that happened during the A's.
Yeah.
That time frame is they still kept a lot of veterans, and the only thing they did is they had them set up to the point to where, hey, find out what your players are good at and what their fear is.
But you know, and these wild ass trades were not specific to just a handful of teams. The Rangers, the Texas Rangers. I texted my son the first big trade that the Texas Rangers made, and he texted with a one-word reply: "Fuck." Right? Because he knew that it was bound to happen. John Daniels, who is the GM for the Rangers, the guy is a certifiable knucklehead, absolute knucklehead.
Well, they got rid of Nolan Ryan, so.
Well, the only reason why the only reason why Nolan Ryan was part owner of the team at that time was because they conned him into signing on with the ownership group so that way they could buy the Rangers to keep them from moving.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Rangers traded away right-handed pitcher, a starting pitcher, Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy, also a starting pitcher, and right-handed pitcher, Han Krause, along with some cash considerations to the Phillies. The Rangers in turn got a right-handed pitcher, Spencer Howard, right-handed pitcher, Kevin Gowdy, and another right-handed pitcher, Josh Gesney, right? Philadelphia is needing pitching help because at the time of the trade, they were 3.5 games back of the Mets for the National League East Division. So they needed some consistent arms that they can depend on, they can insert into the lineup, and say, okay, every fifth day, you're the guy that we're going to go to. Get out there and do your damn job, right? So Gibson, he joins the rotation at the time of the trade with a 2.87 ERA, 94 strikeouts in 19 starts. Okay, while Ian Kennedy was not a starter. I'm sorry, he was a reliever. He held at the time of the trade a 2.51 ERA, 35 strikeouts, and 16 saves this season. Okay. Those are good numbers. Those are decent numbers. Okay, I got to see freaking Ian Kennedy close out a game against the Red Sox, and he got a save. I mean, the dude's got certifiable good stuff.
Okay.
I mean, he's got good action on his fastballs. His curveball is respectable. Okay. The Rangers. We all know that the Rangers weren't going to win anything. They weren't going to go anywhere this year. But there we are. Hang on to some of the good pieces that you got, but instead, no. Not the Yankees. The Rangers were trading away some of their big guys. And you just kind of sit there and go, I get how it makes sense for these other clubs to make a play for it, but what the other clubs were sending back in return, it's almost disrespectful. I mean, it's kind of like you sit there and go, it's like that scene at a Friday, right? When Ezell slips and falls in the store and he's like, my neck, my back, I want $150,000. But we sat out of court right now for a cheeseburger and 2 packs of envelopes, right? I mean, that is basically, that's what the Rangers got in return. I mean, they walked into the store, pretended like they slipped and fell, gave up so much, and all they got back was 2 cheeseburgers and a packet of envelopes. Bullshit. That's all it was. Complete, utter, unadulterated horseshit. I mean, and we're not talking good horseshit that you can just like recycle and throw into the compost and then use for fertilizer later. No. And this is because the horse got into the onion patch. And not only does the horse shit smell, but it smells like wild onions. You can't use it for anything.
You're talking about a swamp donkey.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not fair. He's just a donkey. All right, so the Yankees made some trades as well.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I love. Okay, the reason why I say swamp donkey, because basically what it is a donkey that just basically feeds on the stuff that's in the swamp.
Yeah.
So it smells and it's disgusting, but you have some kind of use for it.
Yeah. All right. So the Yankees were making moves too. Oh man, were the Yankees making moves? Okay, so they got a left-handed pitcher named Andrew Heaney, along with some cash considerations. So you think about it, the Yankees are worth like $219 billion as a franchise. Why the hell are you going to give them cash like they need it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They made a trade with the Angels for they got Heaney from the Angels. In return, the Angels got right-handed pitcher Jason Junk. That's his actual name, Jason Junk.
It's almost as good. That's not that good, but it's almost as good as the guy that we interviewed for What the Hell for the Wichita Con, Oriole Johnson.
Yeah, Oral Johnson. Yeah.
No, it's Royal.
Oh, Royal Johnson. That's right. Royal Johnson. Yes, that is. Yeah, that's true. He was the teacher, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
He did the comic book.
Look at me, I'm helping.
I know, right?
And so they also got a right-handed pitcher named Elvis Puego. Puego? I know I just butchered that. If you know Spanish, Puego, and you got to say it with like Puego. Now he sounds Italian. What the hell? Anyways,
I don't know what.
So
that one.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Yankees just because.
Yeah, because you're going to get into
Braves.
Because we need to wrap this up.
I know, there is so much that I have to go over. I'm going to try to get through this, so just quit interrupting me.
Okay.
All right, so the Braves, they got outfielder Jorge Soler, and they sent to the Royals a right-handed pitcher, Casey Kalich.
Now, okay, on that.
What did I just say?
I know. I have to ask though, because I understand that there's a big difference between the right and a left-handed pitcher.
Pitcher, yeah.
Yeah, and because a lot of people can't hit from a left-handed pitcher for some reason.
The old adage is that if you're a left-handed pitcher and you can throw a fastball that's 90+ miles an hour, you can find a job in baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. I'm going to try to consolidate this here. I wanted to be exhaustive because we owe it to our listeners, but because you're sitting there tapping your watch and telling me that we're crunched for time.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just
you even did the passive aggressive. I'm shutting my MacBook down, and you even turned off your mouse. Anyways,
well, that's
so
because
an interesting an interesting intercity trade between the White Sox and the Cubs. The Cubs sent right-handed closer Craig Kimbrell, who used to play for the Braves, also used to play for the Cubs, and the White Sox rather, or not White Sox. Jesus Christ,
Red Sox.
Red Sox. Thank you very much. He was part of our 2018 squad. Anyway, he had the name Cardiac Kimbrell because this dude. It was an emotional roller coaster watching this guy try to close a game. He's got great stuff. Don't get me wrong. When he's on, he's on. But most of the time, when he starts nibbling at the edges of the corners of the plate and he's not getting those calls, I mean, I think during the 2018 playoff run, I probably aged 3 years watching this guy try to close games out.
Really? He was just that slow?
It's not that. No, it's not. It's just the stress that he puts you under. As a fan, you're just sitting going, "Oh my God. Why are you pitching like this?" It's like you're better than this. Anyways, so we're moving on. The Brewers, nobody really cares because those are two nowhere teams. The Phillies made another trade with Baltimore, so they got a new shortstop named Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis, I like him. He went back to Philadelphia where he made his major league debut. He spent the first 6 years of his career there. He signed a $1.5 million contract at the beginning of the year with Baltimore. At the time of the trade, he was batting .249 with 9 home runs and 26 RBIs. He's on the injured list because he's got a right quadricep strain, but he's due to come back off of that. And so as soon as he steps back into those Philly pinstripes and starts getting inserted into their lineup after, he might have to do maybe a rehab start in their AAA club. I think it's Reading is their AAA club, but he's going to bring a good bat. He's just a little bit south of that Mendoza line, but not too terrible. I mean, he's a good situational hitter, and depending on he does have his preference for clubs that he likes to hit against. So he's one of those, I own this club or I don't own this club. So I mean, he's dependable, and defensively he's not that big of a liability. So that was a smart move by the Phillies. The Red Sox. Okay, so they got right-handed pitcher Hanson Robles, and traded him to from the Twins, and they sent a right-handed pitcher, Alex Sheriff. This one, well, okay, so
yeah. Is he good or not?
He's made 40 at the time of the trade. He made 45 appearances for the Twins, going 3-4 with 10 saves and a 4.91 ERA. I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of the trade. I'm not.
Why is that?
Time will tell. Because we needed. I'll encapsulate that here in just a minute. We also made a trade for left-handed pitcher Austin Davis from Pittsburgh. I'm a fan of this trade, and again, I'm not. I liked Michael Chavis, who the Red Sox sent to Pittsburgh. Michael Chavis is one of those players. He wants to be there. He legitimately wants to be there. He was drafted by the Red Sox, played in their farm system, has filled in, and he's been at best he's been a very mid-level contributor.
So basically mediocre.
Ish. Yeah.
He has some skills, but he doesn't have that great of skills.
Yeah, but he's one of those players where he needs to be incorporated into the grind, and he needs to face that pitching on a regular basis in order to get better. And I think he's going to get that opportunity in Pittsburgh. I'm going to continue to follow his career just because I like him. His personality as a personality, he's got that charisma going for him. So, and I think that he, as overall as like his promise as a player, as far as his skill set's going to be concerned, I think he's going to get better. He just needs that major league time, and I think he's going to get that in Pittsburgh.
It was like me watching Peyton Manning. The only reason why I like Peyton Manning is only because it's really funny.
Right. Let me see here. I can skip over this one. Okay, now because I know that Zach listens to the show, if I skip over this Braves trade, I'll never hear the end of it. So they got Adam Duvall from the Marlins, and they sent catcher Alex Jackson down there to Miami.
Hey, Zach, if you're actually listening to this, give us what do you think about that trade?
Right. Yeah, he'll leave it in the comments. Duvall was acquired by Atlanta at the end of the 2018 trade deadline and spent parts of 3 seasons with the Braves. Now he's coming back, so it's not like he's a new player that's unfamiliar with the Atlanta market. There even may be some fans out there that still have. There may even be some fans that are still out there that have Duvall jerseys hanging in their closet somewhere. I don't know, but he at the time of the trade, he hit 229 with a 478 slugging average, hit 22 home runs in 90 games with Miami up to that point. So he's got a good bat, and defensively, I think he's probably top 25% in that range as far as like defensive outfielders amongst the National League. So I like that trade. I mean, he was just doing nothing but kind of just spinning his wheels and toiling and playing meaningless games down in Miami. Whereas Atlanta, Atlanta's season had a lot of promise, but it kind of went off the rails and the wheels fell off the cart. So going into next season, watch for Atlanta to finally, hopefully, pull their heads out of their collective asses.
When's the last time they even got into the playoffs?
It was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah, last year. They made it all the way to the NLCS. They played the Dodgers.
Yes. See, the last
and if I'm not mistaken, they took it like 6 games. So, Atlanta has had the misfortune of injuries this year. And I think that that's the biggest contributing factor to the way, the decline of the Braves this year. That and some lackluster performances from their pitching staff. Past that, you still got to have people like Freddie Freeman. Whenever Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back off of injury, because he had surgery, so he's done for the year. So when he comes back, I mean, that kid right there, he's got a lot of fire. He's got a lot of pop in his bat, and defensively, he's pretty solid. So once he comes back from injury, he rehabs his knee properly, does maybe light workouts, resumes baseball activities during the winter, I think he'll be squared away. Look for Atlanta to really compete for their division next year. I'm going to go ahead and go on record as saying that. So we're moving on here. The Blue Jays kind of went all out for pitching this trade deadline. They got Jose Berrios from the Twins. And the Twins in return got Austin Martin. He's a shortstop outfielder, so he's almost like a utility player. And then they got a right-handed pitcher, Simone Woods Richardson. Berrios was one of those guys that a lot of teams were in on him. I mean, they wanted to get this guy. He's under contract through next season. So the Blue Jays, it's not one of these, hey, we're going to rent you basically for the rest of the season. They've got control over him for next year. At the time of the trade, he had a 3.48 ERA, and he was averaging 9.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. And he was averaging like 2.4, almost 2.5 walks per 9 inning. And he pitched 121.2 innings up to the point of his trade with Minnesota. So now that he's with Toronto, I saw he had a start with Toronto since the trade deadline, and he was pretty lights out.
Now, on these trades, I know you had to go a little bit more. It's just out of curiosity. On these trades, though, how bad do you think it's going to when does these trades do affect? They go into effect
immediately.
Immediately.
So
those people are actually being
as soon as that trade's done. Those two teams come to that agreement. That player, they're pulled from the lineup, and they are sent. They get on a plane and head to their new city.
Okay. Now, how do you think that it'll affect them switching out?
Not very much at all. I mean, if anything else. For example, the Cubs, and I'm going to get into this here in just a second, but I'm going to skip over that Red Sox trade. I want to talk about the Yankees trade. They got Anthony Rizzo. I was absolutely livid, along with the rest of Red Sox Nation, pissed off about this trade because we think that Brian Cashman and the Yankees, they're notorious for going out and getting players that they know other teams, especially that the Red Sox, are interested in, just so that way other teams don't get them. Granted, yes, the Yankees needed help at first base. Anthony Rizzo's a left-handed hitter. He can take advantage of that short porch in Yankee Stadium. I mean, good God, a little leaguer could hit a fucking home run in right field at Yankee Stadium. So, I think it's like 315 to the fence. It's incredibly short. You couldn't even fit a football field there. But, and basically the Cubs, all they got was just a couple of prospects in return. So, I think what the Yankees are focusing on is, yeah, we're going to get these big pieces, but they're basically raping their farm system. I mean, they're just emptying them out of all these prospects and just sending them to the wind for win now, pay later. And it's almost like it's kind of like they're trying to inject life into their otherwise failing season. Because let's face it, as far as the Yankee fan base is concerned and the New York media is concerned, anytime that the Yankees don't make the playoffs, the season is considered a losing season. And that's just something that just can't be allowed to happen in New York. So, I mean, if they make all of these big moves and still end up not getting into the playoffs, I am going to personally print out all of the headlines from the New York Post and the New York Times, and I'm gonna put them up here on the wall for us to be able to look at during the winter, because that's going to be our comic relief. It's just going to be hilarious. Now, the Red Sox did make a decently smart move. They went out to the Nationals and said, "Hey, we want Kyle Schwarber." Kyle Schwarber played for the Cubs in the 2016 World Series. Okay, he was traded to the Nationals like a year or like a couple of years after that. I think I like this trade because, yeah, even though Schwarber's hurt right now, when he comes back, he's got a decent bat. He at the time of the trade, he had 25 home runs, 53 RBIs in 72 games. So the guy's got a good bat. He's left-handed, and it's almost kind of like he's got a swing that was built for Fenway. And I know that that's a cliche, and you hear it a lot, especially amongst Red Sox, player talk, right? It's like, oh, well, this guy's got a swing tailor-made for Fenway, blah, blah, blah. You'll see a lot of players, they'll have swings that fit well in different parks. And it's like, oh, it's made for this park, it's made for that park. Well, if you're playing for the team that lives in that park, then, yeah, it's tailor-made. So it just... It's more of a just kind of I guess an alliteration of the potential that this guy's going to bring, to the team. So,
do they actually try him out though?
No. Maybe
try him out in that park or
no.
They just
to my knowledge, Kyle Schwarber's only played like a couple of times in Fenway, and that's when the Cubs came to visit Fenway during interleague play.
Okay.
So.
It's just one of those weird phrases that I'm like trying to wrap my head around and everything like that. But
let me see here. Okay, now the biggest news here. This is the link that I sent to my oldest son, and he replied with the one word "fuck" reply. The Yankees went out and they talked to the Texas Rangers, and they got outfielder Joey Gallo. This guy, he's got a good bat. Defensively, he's okay. Better than mediocre, but he's not outstanding, right? I mean, he'll make all-star teams based on his offense alone. Now he's a left-handed slugger. Again, he's got one of those tailor-made swings for Yankee Stadium. He'll take advantage of the short porch. Again, all he's got to do is just basically slap at the ball. I mean, this guy's strong enough to where if he tried to hit a bunt over the right field fence, he could probably hit it. He's got a really high on base percentage. So I mean, he's got good strike zones. I say good strike zone discipline. No, he doesn't. He strikes out a lot. He gets on base about 40% of the time, and he's got that power balance. So when he's not hitting home runs or screaming line drive base hits, he's striking out like crazy. The guy very rarely takes a walk, and that's just because he sees the ball and he wants to attack it.
Basically, he's like a chihuahua with a ball. Sometimes he'll get Sometimes he'll get it in his mouth, but most of the time he's just trying to gnaw.
Yeah. Now I don't want to disparage Joey Gallo because I think that the guy's he's a good ball player.
He's not listening to us.
I don't give a fuck. It's for the people who listen that are fans of these people or are fans of those teams, and I'm like, okay, look, I'm not bagging on him just because he's wearing Yankee pinstripes. I mean, personally, I think while he's in those Yankee pinstripes, I want his numbers to tank. I'm just going to be honest and put that out there. But that was a the Yankees went out and they made a lot of big name acquisitions during the trade. Whether or not these guys are going to be rentals, if they're going to have any kind of longevity in New York, we'll see. I mean, that's to be seen.
Well, after they do this trade and everything like that, do they just basically send them back to the team?
Nope.
Or
no?
Okay. So
basically,
what you're saying,
what happens is that at the end of the season, Mm-hmm. If that player does not, if that player's not under contract for another year, the team that he goes to, if he's under contract for another year, the team that he goes to gets control of that contract. So he'll stay there for at least one more season. Now, if it's you heard me use the term rental.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason why I keep on asking that question.
When I'm talking about rental players, okay, the guy's usually at the end of his contract. He gets traded to a team that needs him. He plays for that team for the remainder of the season. If he wants to re-sign with that team, if they come to an agreement, he can sign a free agency deal to stay with that team. Okay? Or they can just say, you know what? Screw this. I'm bouncing, and I'm going to put my name out there, and he'll sign a contract with whatever team he agrees with. So when I say rental, literally that is it. He is a rental player. Whoever he is a rental player. If they don't have the luxury of having contract control into the next season, the team that receives that player basically either gives up cash considerations, or they give up prospects, or they give up players on the major league roster already just to acquire the services of this particular player for a month and a half to 2 months. Maybe three if they go into the
okay, that makes
depending on
sense
how
now.
deep they go into the playoffs.
But it also makes sense with basketball, what they're making.
Right? Yeah, we keep coming back to that, but yeah, no, like the Rays, the Rays made a deal with with the Twins. They got Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz is coming in towards the end of his career, but he's still got a good bat. Still got a lot of power. He can still hit home runs. The guy's smart on the base paths for the most part. Save with the exception of the last, what should have been the last out of the 2010 World Series. Sorry, Rangers fans. I know that's still too soon, but just so that way you have this in perspective. Game 6 of the 2010 World Series, the Cardinals were losing. David Freese comes up to bat, and he hits what should have been a routine pop-up to end the game and end the series, giving Texas its first world championship, right?
Okay.
Nelson Cruz moves to his left, gets up underneath it, but instead of camping out underneath the ball, he kind of does this like little jump, and he botches the catch. He drops the ball. It clinks out of his glove. Gets away from Nelson Cruz, and the tying run comes across the plate. So, Rangers fans all around the country, well, I say country, all around the state, and those who were rooting against the Cardinals, just absolutely lost their fucking minds. I mean, you could hear the heartbreak all across North Texas. And it was just like, oh my God. They had that series in hand. Now, I'm not hanging the 2010 World Series on Nelson Cruz, just like I don't hang the 1986 World Series loss for the Red Sox on Bill Buckner. Bill Buckner's play, if you go back and you Google it, he routine ground ball up the first baseline, and it basically goes through the 5-hole. I mean, it squirts out from his glove and right between his legs, and he flubbed it. And the Mets went on to win that game, and then consequently went on the next night to win Game 7. But just like I'm not going to hang the 86 World Series on Bill Buckner, I'm not going to hang the 2010 World Series on Nelson Cruz, because the Rangers had every opportunity to come in the next night for Game 7 and absolutely show out. They didn't do it. They didn't even bother to play. I mean, they were there physically, but I think that they just had all the mental wind taken out of their proverbial sails. They didn't even bother to show up, to include who would have normally, who in my opinion, would have been the shoe-in for the World Series MVP, Josh Hamilton. didn't even bother. I mean, he had a terrible night at the plate the next night. And the Cardinals ran away with Game 7. Absolutely ran away with Game 7. They won the 2010 World Series. So, I mean, the 2010 edition of the Rangers, their clubhouse had the right combination of personality, offense, pitching, defense. It just came down to one bad play plus a game. That's all. So
yeah, it just goes through his legs.
Yeah. So, but you get a lot of Red Sox fans, and myself included, for a few years until I kind of just.
He's dead.
Yeah, Bill Buckner died. He was invited. I mean, for his family, it was terrible. I mean, it really was. His kid was getting beat up in school and getting threatened in school. And his family moved out of Boston because they were constantly getting like death threats and just the absolute hazing from the mass holes up there in Boston. I mean, it was just relentless, right? They couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it. And when they won the World Series in 2004, you saw a couple of fans, Red Sox fans, up at Busch Stadium when they were playing the Cardinals, holding up a sign that says, "We forgive you, Bill Buckner." And I'm like, screw those guys, because there was no reason to forgive Bill Buckner because he didn't actually do anything wrong. Because, like I said, the Red Sox didn't bother to show up for Game 7. But, and I say that as a Red Sox fan, so take that for what it's worth. But with and you see this happen in sports a lot. 2003, the Cubs were playing the Marlins in the NLCS for the National League pennant and a chance to go to the World Series, right? Pop fly in foul territory. It's slicing over into foul territory, going down the left field line, right?
Okay.
Marlins outfielder went to go field the ball. The ball is mostly over the stands at this point. And a guy by the name of Bill Bartman, I think it's Bill Bartman. Anyways, Bartman is his last name. He's sitting there with headphones on, listening to the radio broadcast. And oh, no. The Cubs were fielding. All right, so the Marlins guy pops up over there, right? So the Cubs outfielder goes to field the ball. When it's over the seats, the fans have just as much of a right to that ball as the player. Okay? This poor guy, the ball clanked off of his hands, and at that point it's a dead ball. It should have been a decisive out, right, to get the Cubs out of what could have potentially been a very bad inning for them. The Cub outfielder points at Bartman. Everybody starts immediately booing this guy. The fans in the stands are booing him. They're throwing shit at him. Not literal shit, but they're throwing like hot dog wrappers, pouring beer on him. I mean, they're just being complete douchebags, right? He gets escorted out of the stadium. He starts receiving death threats, like actual legitimate death threats. People are egging his house. I mean, absolute hell for this guy. He still doesn't want to go to Wrigley Field to this day because of it. The Cubs wanted to invite him to the 2016 World Series. He refused. Absolutely refused. This guy has been a Cubs fan his whole life. He's being given the opportunity to sit
Steve Bartman.
Steve Bartman, thank you. He's being handed World Series tickets by the team. Come as our guest. And he's like, I can't do it. Because of the treatment that those fans gave him. And, I mean, every team's got its bad fans. But some teams are just notorious for having bad fans, like the Phillies, the Yankees, the Cubs. You know, I mean, it kind of goes back to when I was railing against that whole. Remember when I took my boys down to Houston and I took everybody to an Astros game, and they threw a home run ball back out onto the field because it was hit by the visiting team.
Oh my God! I'm looking at that video right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, he literally. Oh God. Yeah, that is.
Moises Alou, I think, is the guy, the outfielder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it literally the guy like
he had just as much a chance to catch that ball. He fucked that play up just as much as Steve Bartman did. Yeah, I know, because they went back and broke that down frame by frame. It had actually hit him in the damn glove, and he sat there and tried to call fan interference.
His hand was in the glove, though.
His hand, here was the edge of the glove, and here's his hand. I mean, they were right next to each other.
No, his hand is right on top of it.
Well, then at that point, Moises Alou had the opportunity. I mean, he should have and got on top. I mean, what is he? I mean,
he couldn't do it.
Bartman's natural reaction is completely and totally understandable. You see a ball coming, you're going to reach out for it. I mean, come on. The dude paid money for those seats. Moises Alou is going to sit there and throw this guy under the bus, and not once, to this day, has Moises Alou ever apologized for that shit. Not once. Not a single time.
I'm looking at it now, and hold on. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But the fact of the matter is, you can't hang that series on Steve Bartman, because the Cubs should have showed up the following night, or at the very least, they could have pitched their way out of that situation, and they failed to do it. And it's not because of what happened on with somebody in the stands. It's not because of a singular play with one of your other players or teammates. No, you failed to rise to the occasion. You failed to meet the standard, and you failed your city. Let's just call it what it is. They failed their city. Nelson Cruz failed the city of Arlington. He failed the fan base. The team the following night failed everybody. The Red Sox in '86 did the same thing. They failed. Absolutely failed. Last year's World Series, Tampa and the LA Dodgers playing down there at that travesty of a stadium, Globe Life Field. Okay? The Rays took it as far as they could take it, and they fell flat on their face.
He would have missed the ball.
Bartman or Alou?
Alou. It was on the edge of his glove. Look in the.
See, he didn't make a good play then. He did not make a good play. He had just as much of a chance to make that a good play versus anything else, and he failed. Absolutely. But you know what the beautiful thing about baseball is the fact that you can come back from stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because eventually time will heal all wounds, to include Steve Bartman. Now, I'm not going to speak on behalf of Steve Bartman and say that at some point he's going to end up at Wrigley again. Probably not. He may end up just watching the games from home, just because of the fact that if he gets seen out in public, people are going to either A, give him shit, or he's going to B, get apologized to.
Tarred and feathered.
No, and not tarred and feathered. I mean, because at that point, they've won a World Series. So, the drought was over. So they can't hang that on him. But you're going to still get that dickhead fan out that's be like, oh, I remember you, fuckface, and they're gonna give him shit for it, and they're gonna ruin his experience at the ballpark. It's like when you go to the ballpark. Okay. For example, last night the Astros were playing in LA against the Dodgers. Now, this is a new heated rivalry because of what happened during the 2019 World Series, right? So, or rather the 2017 World Series, when the Astros did their whole sign stealing scandal. Anyways, so the Dodgers hosted the Astros last night, right? The Astros went in there and shut out the Dodgers. like beat them soundly. Like they could not score. And you're seeing all these Twitter videos out there now. Like the stands became a friggin' war zone. If you wore an Astros jersey, I mean, Dodgers fans were throwing beer, they were throwing hands. It was ugly. I mean, just absolutely ugly. I mean, I won't even go as far as to go to blows with a Yankees fan, because why? It's not worth my time. I'm not going to sit there and risk getting tossed out of a major league ballpark and banned from that facility and possibly all 30 facilities because I decided to throw a punch. I mean, yeah, we can run our mouths and we can talk smack to each other, but at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're there to enjoy a friggin' ball game. We need to just shut up and watch it, right? When you walk through the turnstiles, you're a kid for 3 to 4 hours. That's the point, right? As a fan, you go, you work your ass off and you buy these tickets. You go to sit at a game. You pay too much for hot dogs. You pay too much for beer. And you pay way too much for stale popcorn. But you're there watching a game, right? You're making memories with your friends, your family, your loved ones. You're not there to get into a damn fist fight because somebody else is running their mouth. You can chirp back, fine. Yeah, that's great. I've been known to do that. I've even been known to chirp at the players on the field.
Well, here's a fun fact about it. Steve Bartman actually got a World Series ring after they won.
Yes, that is something that I single-handedly thought that was a very classy move on the part of the Cubs. They gave him a World Series ring. I mean, he didn't want to come to the World Series, but they gave him a ring, which I thought was great. I mean, it's not one of these replica rings. It's an actual ring. Yeah, I mean it's an actual ring that he can wear. Now, I think that honestly that would go along. It better go a long way towards healing that wound there and kind of smoothing things over. But it just. I went from doing this whole trade thing. I mean, I've gone over the trades that I want to go over.
Okay. Well, one last thing.
Yeah, one last thing. Go ahead.
Head off. If everybody notices, and this is good, this is our fast one. So as soon as it's done, and I edit and everything, I put it up. So it'll be the first one of the week. You notice that we have a 1776 flag, Old Glory. And that's
Betsy Ross flag.
And that's due to Derek Roberts. He's actually a listener. He says every once in a while he'll listen to our cast. So thank you for that. We did purchase it from him. You can go to Derek Roberts, just message him, or I think he has his number up here.
Yeah, it's Moorwood, Moore Wood Flags.
Yeah.
It's Facebook. It's fb.me at Moorwood Flags. He's got morewoodproject@yahoo.com as his email address. If you want his number, message us on our Facebook page. We'll be happy to shoot you that number.
Or you can just find
his website is morewoodflags.com.
Yeah, or we can send him to his Facebook page where what's really interesting about his story, though, and I want him to have it on, and I need to message him mid-August because he's doing a lot of work right now. He's very busy. He used to be a pharmacist. And now he does this.
Yeah, dude, Derek, I've got to tell you, man, this flag is sexy. And I'm not just saying that. Dude, it's legitimately a sexy flag. I want to buy one. I mean, I've been wanting one like this. I seriously, legitimately, I want one.
I saw that, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're definitely. Because he was like, hey, I was looking at your Facebook page, and I need to put this one on top. I have a Old Glory, and that's my favorite flag because it's the first flag that we actually. Well, it's not the first flag we actually technically flown, but it
was the first one that was adopted by the Continental Congress.
Yeah, and it's just the beginning of what of our nation, which we both love and respect. And I just wanted to go out and say thank you, Derek Roberts. go to his Facebook page. Find him anywhere you can. These things are gorgeous, and purchase one.
Yeah, and nice. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify and you can't see this thing, it looks like it's waving, and it is absolutely beautiful.
I need to take a picture of it and put up on our.
Yeah, make it the.
I wanted to wait until we actually got it up.
Yeah, not the profile picture, but the. What is the name of the other picture? The background picture on our Facebook profile.
Background picture.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dick. But yeah, make it the background picture on our Facebook page.
Actually, I was thinking about making our background picture us in that. We need to actually do the picture.
Yeah, we need somebody who knows how to take pictures. Yeah.
Well, I can take the pictures. Just we need to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm Johnny Skelton.
I'm David Dickerman.
Keep it classy, San Diego, everybody. Thank you very much. Oh, also before we forget. If you're on YouTube for the very first time watching us, click the subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. Give us a like. Get involved in the comment section. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, 5-star ratings only. We don't care if it's a bad review. Just give us 5 stars. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
I still need to learn more about the Patreon. And I'm actually working on getting this on Amazon Music.
Amazon Music, yeah. Amazon Podcast Services?
No, it's Amazon
Amazon Music, but it's just their podcast channel. Right? Gotcha.
They have podcasts there.
Anyways, keep it classy, San Diego. Y'all have a good night.
And thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.
Sports.
Bye-bye-bye.